Welcome everyone to today's Q&A. My name is Gary Gerwer. I will be hosting the Q&A today, and Paul Higgins will be driving, so some questions may warrant some documentation, and he'll put up the documentation on the screen for us to kind of take a look at. So announcements for today. Hopefully everyone is aware that end of year started Monday. You should be able to see your certification screen and all the end of year 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. That started on the 8th. It's going to go through the 28th. That's the initial deadline, and we're hoping to get everyone completed by the 28th, because as you've probably heard, deadlines are getting shorter and shorter, and they really would like to have everyone finished by July 28th if possible. There is an amendment window, but they're hoping that is just for some minor corrections after the initial deadline. If something's found, you can make some minor corrections, with the final deadline as of being August 25th. And there was a flash that went out. I think it came out after last Wednesday's Q&A, and it was Flash 251, and that has to do with the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, or ASVAB, reporting system. It's now open. This is a lot of detail in this flash, so do take a look. This is for 10th through 12th graders, so if you're not a 10th through 10th grader, it really doesn't pertain to you. Other than that, Angela, Martha, do you have any updates that you would like to share?
Yeah, I have not updated the known issues with the release that went in yesterday, the known active issues. Paul, if you wanted to navigate that, I do have something I want to show folks. So we don't have the fixes that went in yet. That'll be, I think, at the 5 o'clock revision, we'll have that. But there are a couple new problems on there as of today. We're still having problems with the demographic record on the student in online maintenance. It's not as drastic as it was yesterday, but it's a smaller version of that. So if you have a brand new SSID and there's never had a SIMF record posted for that student, if you try to add one or edit the existing stub record, it just hangs in the posting step. So just want to let you know that we are aware of that, and I did mark it as a high.
Great. And I did have a ticket where they were the post was hanging on the SIMP record, and they had made a mistake with the first name. And I was, this may or may not be a workaround that works for you, but I was able to submit a SIMP file and make the correction through that way, and that works. So that might be a workaround.
That's a really good point, Gary. I will add that workaround. I experienced the same thing. The batch works, but the OM doesn't.
All right. Okay. We will get started with the questions here. Okay, first question is from Denise. How is the end of year 2 192 Armed Forces family member data submitted being used? Are all districts required to collect that info into the student information system? That's a good question. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming it may have something to do with ASVAB reporting.
I want to say part of it had to do with children or students that are in military families tend to be highly mobile. And so I think the department wanted to just see the relationship of being in the military family and if that impacted attendance and if they needed to do more with that subgroup of kids. So I don't think it's used beyond that. There's an actual course that you have to report for CCI, but the fact that you're in a military family doesn't help you in any other way. So our district's required to collect that info in the SIS. We expect that you would collect it. You know, it's an optional field to say a kid is in a military family or not. So we just assume people are collecting it. I think it's been like 3 or 4 years now that we've had that program and collected it. So I'm sure if we go back 4 years, we'd find the flash that explained it. I don't think it's in the data guide.
There's a
maybe it
column on
is.
the report too. The 5.1 report has a column. The last column shows the count of armed forces family members for the program 192. Question from Daphne from Sac County OE. Hi, Daphne. I say that because I've answered a lot of tickets for data requests for DR data requests for foster data. I submitted a SELA record. I received a CERT 165 primarily enrolled English learners who are 22 years or older and enrolled in grades KN through 12 must be designated adult English learner. The student is 22 years and 4 months old and enrolled in a K through 12 school. I changed the ELAS record from EL to ADL, then received the SELA 524, English Language Acquisition Code. Can you tell me where I'm going wrong and how to fix this error? If this
did you use the student's date of birth or did you use the enrollment start date? Because that's going to make a difference. Because if you're using a date after their 22nd birthday, it's still going to trigger for you because they will be 22 in a gap there between their birth date and that SELA date where they are not ADEL, and they need to be ADEL from their 22nd birthday on.
Thanks, Paul. From Ilitania, what extra reasons should be used when a student stops attending high school to obtain their GED? Isn't there, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think there is an exit code.
There's an exit code for a GED, but they shouldn't use that until they've actually earned their GED. So if they've exited the school, they should exit them, I'm assuming, with a E230 360, which is did not complete 12th grade requirements. And then if the student actually earns their GED before the reporting year is up, they can change that exit code.
Thanks, Brandy.
No problem.
Okay, question one from Lori. Any updates on when the CAlPADS, I'm having a hard time reading today for some. Any updates on when the CARS data submission will open? I know this isn't your world, but it affects our program data. Thank you. I'm not sure if they had the exact date. I thought it was supposed to be pretty soon.
When we were in the quarterlies, what did Paula say?
I thought she said May 8th, but yeah, it's May 10th. Right now. So, that's what I thought she said. But so I don't think we know yet. I mean, I can ping her if you'd like.
Okay. From Terry, question one. We have a student in 8th grade. He has been SALT LPAC tested since kindergarten. A couple of weeks ago, a parent submitted a letter saying she is opting him out of testing. How do we handle this?
Can you repeat that one more time?
They have a student that has been SALT tested since kindergarten, and they're now in 8th grade, and now the parent wants to opt them out of testing. What do they do?
Well, they can't opt them out of testing, but what they can is if they can sign a local waiver for the EL program, meaning they can't put them in a EL class, right? But she can't opt them out of testing. So if the parent elects to not send the kid for testing on the day of LPAC testing, the kid still gets put into the participation rate.
And they remain in the EL subgroup.
Yes.
They just don't have to have instruction that way.
Yeah. Well, and again, the parent can sign a local waiver removing the student from an EL program, but they can't remove that EL status.
Okay. At 3:03, Paul posted a link to the Flash 251. Question 1 from Rocio. Does CAlPADS collect info on the State Seal of Civic Engagement Award? I have not heard of that.
No, it's being proposed. It's been proposed by the Accountability Office and the State Board of Education as wanting to include it for purposes of the Career College Readiness Indicator for the dashboard. But there has not been any movement on adding a particular data element to CAlPADS at this time.
From Ren, question 1. What if a student involves with incident on the last day of school and the incident results with 3 days of suspension? How should we handle it? You still put in, so you still do the incident, and you can have incidents all the way through April 1st of that year, and then still do the suspension in the next year. And that will work. Question 1 from Laura. What roles in CAlPADS gives access to review ODS reports? I know I should know this. Paul, do you have the role page?
The view role.
Oh, just the view role? Oh.
For that file. So SENR view. Sorry. ODS is edit. Sorry. Right now it's edit. We're changing it to view.
Okay.
So if it's the SPRG, you have to have SPRG edit. If it's the SINF edit, allows you to get to the ODS extracts for those particular files.
And Paul's bringing up has brought it up, and looks like he's going to post that user roles page.
It's not reports, it's ODS files. Oh, she said ODS reports. I misunderstood. I always think ODS extracts.
Question 1 from Russell, and my page just scrolled up when that was posted. Question 1 from Russell. If the school does not do the ASVAB, is there something we have to submit to state that? I don't know.
No, there is not.
Okay. Question from Rebecca. How to add the subs seed number to the course? So the substitute wouldn't have that. If the substitute doesn't have a seed number, then you're using the wild card, the 10-9s. You just put in 10-9s for the seed number for when you're uploading course data. Question 1 from Daniil. I have a student from private school that should not have been reported because parents refused the ISP. This is his first enrollment in CAlPADS. I cannot delete the enrollment, and it is giving me a CERT 145 fatal error. I cannot delete the enrollment. How should I report?
No, show the enrollment.
Yep, there you go.
And 470.
Yeah, because once there's a record in there, if it's the only record, you can't delete it. Question 1 from Miguel. Good afternoon, everyone. Our SPED coordinator is getting the GER 05s for one of our students. I understand the error that is being generated. However, we wanted to clarify our confusion. The student we received was enrolled in 2 separate MPS schools while having a primary enrollment in a different LEA. Moving forward, we would enter the 2 MPS enrollment records as secondary enrollment. Moving forward, would we enter the 2 MPS enrollment records as a secondary enrollment? The first NPS school, the student was enrolled for 2 days, and the second, the student was enrolled for 1 day. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. I believe putting them as secondary would be correct.
I don't know if I caught the first part of that question.
They're getting the GER 5 error.
5 when they're trying to send up a SPED record,
Yeah.
and then the
So yeah, they're primary enrolled in an LEA, and they also have NPS enrollments.
well, it depends on what reporting LEA is being submitted on the. I send up a ticket. Let's
Okay.
send up a ticket. You can put my name on it, Brandy, and then we'll take a look at the records.
Sounds good. Question 1 from Josh. Hello, everyone. I am new to this role. Welcome, Josh. This is my second week. Wow, you really are already to CAlPADS. Welcome. I am trying to run an enrollment update, and I'm concerned about the volume of records my SIS creates as exits. It's about 16,000 records. I'm following the guide put out by Aries step by step.
What's your ADA? How big is your district?
16,000 students. Lou suggests opening a ticket with Aries to get some help with your SCNR extract.
I mean, if you're exiting all of those kids out because it's the end of the school year, we would expect an enrollment record for an enrollment exit for every kid that you have enrolled. But if you're not exiting them, I don't know what you're updating.
Yeah, so he's updating something, but maybe just 1 or 2 students, and he's getting all 16,000. So. Rosa has a question too. We'll come back to that. Lori, question. Oh no, we already read that one. At 3:14, Rebecca Morales put in a comment that regarding the armed forces, there is a whole section in the FAQ regarding military families, and she posted the information there. So thanks, Rebecca.
And it is a federal accountability subgroup. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Brandy.
Yeah.
At 3:15, Paul posted the user roles needed. Okay. Catherine, question 1, can you direct us to the link that shows what programs should be closed yearly and what stay open? That's in the data guide, and Angela posted that at 3:15 for you. Question 1 from Dominic. Martha mentioned the roles for the ODS extracts changing from edit to view. Is there an ETA on that?
Hopefully within the next couple of months.
Question 1 from Jeremy. Does CAlPADS or CDE as the CEA for California submit any data for the federal CRDC data collection periods? Based on Office of Civil Rights response to this question, during the CRDC public comments period, CEAs are able to submit data on behalf of their LEAs, and the LEA surveys will be pre-populated for LEA review and finalization. I'm not sure what a CEA is.
It's a state education agency.
Oh.
So we know, Jeremy, that there are many states that do submit data to the CRDC on their LEA's behalf. California currently is not one of those. It's not clear to me whether or not the CAlPADS operations office is going to be taking on that task in terms of trying to figure out how we could, how the California Department of Education could do that. This is a question that inevitably comes up every single year that you guys have to do the CRDC. So I would just pose this question specifically to the CAlPADS operations office. So send an email to calpads@cde.ca.gov, and they could potentially put it back on the radar.
Okay. At 3:16, Marshall posted the transcript from one of the quarterlies, and with information from Paula starting at 10:34:19. Question 1 from Oscar. Should I run ODS extracts after an error is corrected? After clearing the error, I see the same amount of changes for the file. Why does it continue the same amount of changes after uploading to CAlPADS and clearing the errors? Are the extracts not updated until the next day? See, I'm not sure. So are you seeing the errors in the submission? And you think you're clearing them, but the errors are still in the, so the errors won't clear out, depending on where you're seeing the errors, they won't clear out until you upload the file again. If you're expecting errors to clear out from a submission, those don't go away, but I'm not sure. But Oscar, if you want to submit a ticket and put it in my name, I can definitely help you look into what errors you're getting and why or why not they might be not getting cleared out. Question 1 from Elizabeth. To tag on to Daniel's question, the fatal error cert 145. I have had my CAlPADS admin mark them as no-show, but the cert 145 error is still looking for an ISP transaction.
I think sometimes the enrollment start date doesn't align with when they started at the private school. Isn't there a
That shouldn't, it's not really the start date. I think the issue is that she's right that no-show enrollments actually do count. So, well, okay. So first of all, you don't need an ISP transaction. You need a transaction that indicates that the parent declined services, right? So if this is an initial evaluation for a private school student and the parent is declining services through an ISP, you would need to send up a SPED record with a plan type of 700. But the key here is you cannot have an exit date on the enrollment record until you've gotten that SPED record up. Then once you get that SPED record up, then you can go ahead and no-show the enrollment. And then that cert 145 should disappear. Alex, does that sound right? Or
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Either a pending SPED record 700, 800, 900 would clear the cert 145 if the student isn't on an ISP.
All right. Okay, question 1 from Leah. Not end of year related. We are a CEP district. We use ARIES and maintain the FRPM records for direct cert, homeless, foster, and alternative income from farm qualifying students. Since the direct certified student records are already in CAlPADS, is there any reason why we should or should not submit the 181, 182 records for these students? Is there any advantage to only uploading a 181, 182 program record for only homeless, foster, alternative income form qualifying students? To clarify, we would still import the DC into Titan, our CMP software. We use ARIES and the FRE table is frustrating to manage. I think you still want to put in the 181, 182 program records because that has to do with social economically disadvantaged.
the direct cert file does
Oh, that does too.
handle it, but state level direct certification. So I think that we were talking about trying to talk to the vendors. We were going to do it this week, but the meeting was canceled, about how they handle free and reduced price meal records when there's also a DC record, and the date that actually gets pulled into Aries and ultimately sent up the CAlPADS. We're still kind of talking through this, but here's what I can tell you. If a student is in the state level direct certification match, that student is counted everywhere in the system where you see filters that say socioeconomically disadvantaged. Okay. 181 and 182 records theoretically need only be created in the following situations. You have an alternate income information form for that student that says they're free or reduced, an approved program application that says they're free or reduced, or they are locally directly certified, which means they are categorically eligible or they have a sibling extension. So if you want to do it that way, it's fine. I think initially we said, if they're on the DC list and you want to create free and reduced records for them, there's no harm in it. But apparently it's created an issue for Aries users because Aries has a set of rules where they pull the earliest date associated with either a state level direct certification or a free and reduced price meal application. They use that date with the program record, and it's causing some issues when you're trying to submit those records up.
Okay. Question 1 from Jamie. I am trying to initiate the correction of classification process as per CAlPADS guidance process B to remove our EL classification. There is a prior EL status of EO from a different LAA 3 years prior to student attending our LAA. How do I do this? We may have to do a data request.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So submit a ticket, Jamie, and we will get that EL status removed. Question 1 from Oscar. I had some errors that I cleared, but they did not change until I ran the ODS extract. I just wanted to make sure this was the right process, or like you mentioned, it might take a day to process. Oh, okay. So you're just following up with that. And you have a question too. So Oscar will come back to that question too. Actually, sooner than later, because we're already at the bottom of the questions. Rebecca at 3:30 has a comment too. Whoever wanted the link to the Armed Forces Flash, it's not on CDE, but it is Flash 116 when Armed Forces first was introduced in 2016, 2017 on page 3. She cannot upload the doc here, no permissions to do so. If you email me and she gives her email address there, she can send it to you. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, so let's go back. I think we only had question 2 so far, so I'll go back and try to find them. Okay, question 2 was first one was from Rocio. We have a couple students listed in the 5.9 inactive foster youth and others that are not listed at all, but are foster youth at all. But our foster youth coordinator mentioned that they are still under foster care umbrella on LACOE's passport. Are those students no longer considered foster youth in CAlPADS or other state programs?
I don't know the answer to this question. If you submit a ticket, we'll forward it to Paula, who can get some guidance on this.
Okay. Q2, right? That was a comment. Oh, okay, so we're back to your question too, Oscar. I uploaded a SIM file with no errors and posted total records was 733. Ran it again a few days later and it still says total records posted 733. Is this normal? This is my first rodeo doing CAlPADS reporting. I apologize for the confusing. Yeah, so if it posted successfully and there was no errors, posting it again doesn't change anything. It's not going to duplicate the records. It doesn't really change anything. So you will keep getting that every time you upload that. So there's no reason really to upload that file again if they posted successfully the first time. I guess the main thing is to look at your reports, and if you've made some corrections and your numbers should be more accurate now, or if you're looking up specific students, if after you posted something, look a student up by their SSID to verify that whatever you posted is now showing up in CAlPADS for the student.
And I would add, Oscar, it's an iterative process that if you make corrections in your local system, you have to extract again. You can't use that same original file the first time that you extracted. You have to get a new extract if you made changes to your SIS and then send up the new extract.
Thanks, Martha. Okay, question one from Tara. We have a student in junior high taking RSP courses that are coded to 1000 self-contained, but our SIS does not export the grades for student course completion. And I'm wondering, do I manually add the grades into CAlPADS?
We don't accept self-contained for course completion.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Departmentalize only.
Mhm.
So that's probably why your vendor doesn't extract them.
3:35, and we're at the end of our questions.
There's a lot of people that signed up today too.
Yeah, there's 207 people here. Well, hopefully everyone's end of year is you're all working on your end of year and working on some errors. I know we have a few defects that we've logged, and hopefully everything's going well other than those, and we'll get those ones we have fixed as soon as possible. Okay, here's a question too from Tara. Do I need to change the coding, or does a student just not get grades?
In your SIS, maybe they get grades, but CAlPADS doesn't need that data.
Aside from that, we don't really need courses from junior high.
Oh, that's right.
We don't need course completion for really anybody but 9-12. So it's optional.
Good point.
But if you do it for grade 7, 8, it has to be departmentalized courses only.
Question 2, do I need to change the, oh, we already took care of that one.
Don't you hate that when
I do.
it's the workers?
I really wish they would fix this.
Yeah.
Okay, from Margarita, for courses that are special ed for a content, do we tag them special ed? And is that enough for CalSAS to not have an error?
Okay. So the SPED teacher does not have that credentialing. Well, she's not a SPED teacher then. Okay. Sorry. It sounds like you have 9-12 language arts courses where there's all students with disabilities. Again, so you need to, the selection of the course code is based on the content of the course. And for special education or special day class courses, in this case, it's a departmentalized special day class for English language arts. If that content was modified and created specially for students with disabilities, and if all of the students in that course are students with disabilities, then that teacher would be required to hold an ed specialist credential. Okay. If it is not a special day class, meaning it doesn't meet those criteria, then you don't have to use the instructional strategy special education. It will be considered a general education course, a general English language arts course, and then the teacher would be required to hold an ELA authorization.
Okay. Rebecca Morales had a comment at 3:37. I think there aren't many questions because we are diligently working on end of year certs to resolve our errors. So I guess we are experts and know how to fix the majority by beating people over the head to fix their data in our SIS.
That's what Rebecca. I was thinking, Rebecca. That was my positive thought.
Question one from Nancy. If a student was absent 5 days in October and later, ergo December, they were determined to be FRPM eligible, would they qualify for PEBT or must they be qualified for FRPM during the month that they had the absences?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have, I believe they have to be eligible in the month that is being calculated. So if they were absent 5 days in October, but they weren't FRPM, they didn't meet the criteria, they would not be eligible for that month. They would not get it for that month.
Question 3 from Rocio. Do we report a SPED infant student if the student resides within our district but is receiving services at another district? I can't find the table that has the different scenarios to share with my team. That's table is, was that Flash? I can't remember the Flash.
161?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a common
that
one.
And then the SWD reporting scenario would actually show
that's
that.
the one. That's where you can find them. Terry Foster, question 1. Could you please clarify on work-based learning for students with disabilities? Can the 120 work experiences hour requirement be met over multiple years instead of 1 year?
Absolutely. Yeah, just remember that 120 years of 120 years, sorry, 120 hours is intended to indicate when that student meets that requirement over grades 9 through 12, right? So you're really going to only mark that as a yes. They're only going to be counted as meeting that requirement one time. Even though, in subsequent years, you could still mark them yes. It's just when the accountability office pulls it, they're only going to use the data from that requirement once.
Okay, Margarita has question 2. Oh man, the screen just popped up again. Okay. Margaret has a follow-up question 2. It does meet the criteria that you first one described. So my state mapping is wrong. I should be mapping departmentalized modified curriculum to a state course code instead of self-contained. That sounds right, but it was optional for junior high.
Yeah. So I think you might be looking at the wrong question, thinking of the wrong question that she was asking about special education instruction strategy.
Oh.
So Margarita, number 1, if it's a departmentalized English language arts class for students with disabilities, you're going to map it to a ELA course, which sounds like you're already doing that. That's great. Because, again, the course was designed for students with disabilities, and all the students in the course are students with disabilities, you need to mark it with an instructional strategy of special education. Okay, so even though it looks like an ELA course, because you've marked it as special education, as long as the teacher holds an ed specialist credential for CALSAS purposes and assignment monitoring, she'll be good.
Okay, we're getting some. Ms. Wanzetta, just to clarify, for summer PEBT, do we need to calculate FRM for dates other than census date, or are we okay because we're SEP?
So for summer EBT, I believe that they were looking for whether or not the student met the criteria in May. If they met the criteria in May, they were going to be issued summer EBT. I believe that's what they said in the quarterly.
Question one from Mosh. Oh, sorry guys, my screen just jumped all over the place. Question one from Asha. I submitted tickets today about SSIDs who were being evaluated at our LAA for either SPED or for the 504, but attended at a private school nearby. I was getting Cert 128 on these. The issue is that they don't attend our LAA, they attend elsewhere. Please advise within the tickets how to solve. I don't want to have a public discussion about these SSIDs here on the call. Please respond within the tickets. Thank you for help on solving these questions. Will do, Asha. I know we have a lot of questions or a lot of tickets, so whoever gets the ticket will be sure and help you out.
I wanted to point out for students that are evaluated for 504s that are attending a private school, we don't collect enrollments for those. Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'll respond to the ticket, Asia, but I just wanted to make it also clear.
Thanks, Alex. Terry's asking, Brandy, will you be covering work-based learning for special ed during your upcoming webinar?
Yeah, because it's part of, well, you know what, that's a good point, because it's part of end of year one. I can certainly cover the SPED components for the work-based learning in that. Yes, I will do that.
Okay. Question two from Nancy. If a public charter thinks they may have some students who will qualify for PEBDT because they came from a brick and mortar school that did have FRPM during the date range in Flash 250, can the charter upload stats for all students to there's something over the top of that. There's an acronym there I can't read, to IS something. ISAP. And will CDSS look across LAAs to determine who the relevant students are, or does the charter have to figure out who they are and only upload the stats for those kiddos?
I mean, the stats records that you're uploading are for current year. I believe they're going to have a completely separate process for students that were previously attending brick and mortar schools. So if you've got kids that are attending charter schools, you want to just upload their stats records, and then there's going to be some sort of other processing that occurs to determine either it's going to be something they have to certify through an external tool that they moved from a public school to the charter, virtual charter, independent study because of COVID. So all those details are kind of being worked out. So you're sending up the data through the ISAC tool for all students that are enrolled this academic year within the months. You know, I believe it was August through May.
Okay. Question four from Rosario. For PEBT, how is CDE handling PO box addresses or homeless students in general? Are they sending the cards to the district? Sorry for all the questions. This team is amazing. Thank you. And I think for homeless, they do send them to the district. For PO boxes,
I think they use the PO box address.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
Question one from Sabrina. Can a 504 record have dates of example August 10th, 2022 to September 1st, 2022, and then a new date of 9/2/2022, and then no end date? We had a few records where dates were updated after records were submitted. As long as they don't overlap, I think you're fine. Question one from Eva. Hello there. This is my first year. Oh, another new person. Welcome to CAlPADS. This is my first year working with CAlPADS. Is it safe to upload the stats to CAlPADS, or should I wait until after the last day of school, which is June 10th? Well, you could, but there's always a potential you'd have to go back and re-upload if students are absent in between now and the last day of school.
I mean, the advantage is that you start taking care of errors for existing students, but
It
And-
just doesn't do the total days of attendance, right? Because you don't have an end date in there, right?
Yeah.
Or that one validation doesn't work quite right because you tell us total days and yet you don't have an end date. So we might throw up an error, but knowing that you're going to send the file again once you have an end date.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt. You won't harm anything by doing it. You could only gain early information, early warnings of bad data.
Question 1 from Juliet. Can you remind me which files are full replacement files? And we have a documentation for that as well. It's the CAlPADS file specifications document, the Word document. It's available on our CDE's documents page.
And also in the user manual.
And I always forget about the user manual on CAlPADS. That will tell you which files are full replacement files. And Angela just posted a link for you. Okay, from Anne. We have corrected enrollment data for 3 MPS students in our data system enrollment history, then updated CAlPADS to see if it matched. Each time we have gone into CAlPADS, the 2022-23 enrollment is not posted. We have added data into CAlPADS to match our student information system, and each time it successfully posts. However, the following day, the information is whipped out of CAlPADS. This has happened at least 3 times already. We need to know if we are entering the information incorrectly or if someone is accidentally removing it. Another new group of people to CAlPADS. Well, welcome. I would submit a service ticket for this issue so that we can have an agent actually look and see what's going on. Data doesn't just disappear out of CAlPADS unless something is happening. Someone's deleting it or someone's wiping it out, or if it's a full replacement, could be wiping it out. So if we can take a look at the submission, and we'll be able to tell you what's going on.
And include the job ID as well as the SSID in your service ticket.
Yeah, the job IDs help us because with the job ID, we can look up the file. If it posts, we can look up the data file, actually get your data, and then that helps us see what's going on. It's very helpful for us for troubleshooting.
And could you put what LEA you're with? Curious. See, when Marshall suggests and Gary suggests you put your LEA after your name, it helps us kind of put into context your questions. But I'm going to chase you down as a new user. Make sure you're in our cohort, new user cohort.
Washington Unified.
Isn't there 2 of them?
There's 3.
Just the 2 first digits of your CDS number? No, I think I can look you up, your name as well.
He's in Fresno.
Okay. Yay, Rebecca. And get to know Rebecca really well at the county office. She's a good asset.
Yolanda's new. We've got a lot of new folks today.
Yeah, a lot of new folks. I think you're a monitor for one of them, Gary, and Alex is a monitor for one. Have to look up the other ones. Oh, there's another one.
So for the new folks on here, all the LEAs in the state have a dedicated CSIS monitor to help you out. And we'll kind of keep touch with you. We'll ask you how it's doing. We'll especially if it's getting closer and closer and things aren't progressing, we'll contact you and ask if you need help or anything we can do. So it's good to know who your monitor is, and we like helping all the LEAs. Some of us have quite a few LEAs to keep track of, but we will help you out as best we can.
Yeah, you might want to throw in a service request ticket if you don't know, if you are new and you don't know who your monitor is. That way you can start the conversation, and also maybe we can keep our CRM up to date with your contact information and information that we need to make sure you're covered the whole time.
I wonder if Paul is still on. Did we lose Paul?
Paul's still here. Yes, he's still there.
He's in the participant list.
He stopped sharing, but I was going to have him navigate to the CSIS website for the new folks to show them where they can look up other LEAs and also make sure that their name is listed correctly.
Oh.
That's csis.icmac.org. And on the bottom left, the first bubble. There you go. So if you're working on an SSID anomaly, or if you want to contact a neighboring district, one of your feeder schools, you can look them up here and find their CAlPADS coordinator. And you can also check yourself. So like if you put in Coachella, let's see if Josh is listed. Is Juliet?
Not yet.
No, I talked with Josh about that. He's helping out, Juliet.
Okay, yeah, because I think Juliet's still there, right?
Yeah.
And then, so what was
And
the other one?
Alex
Washington Unified. We could see if Anne is there. And it's the 107 number. Washington Unified.
Middle there. There you go.
Beatrice. So if that's not right, and there's a place where you on the screen where you could let us know, and we'll get that updated.
And Daphne from SCOE is asking, how can she be added to the new user cohort group?
If you're an LEA admin, we should have done it, but send in a ticket to let us know that you're a new LEA admin and you would like to be added to the new user cohort, and we'll track it down and find out why you're not in there yet.
And Brittany is first year 2. She's from Empire Union and wants to know who her monitor is.
That's Matt.
The new guy.
pair up the two newbies.
But he's a great new guy.
Yeah.
He's got lots of energy to help.
Juliet says she's still here.
Yeah, I thought so.
And Alex, not as cool as when is saying that for me to stop signing LEAs to her. I thought that was funny.
Terry's asking, do we still have the new LE admin security training?
It is video. It's in Bridge. When you're a new user, we have you take the data privacy training, but it's also a video that you can send people to and then quiz them afterwards, make sure that they learned things, how to keep data secure.
Let's see.
Looks like that's the end of the question, folks. And we have about 3 minutes left. So I think we'll go ahead and call it. We will continue working on your end of year. We're really pushing that goal of July 25th to get finished. And we will see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock.